We'll also walk you through the minor system improvements that we've done. Okay. Um, so moving forward, just to give you an idea of what we've done in this month and what you guys can expect in the next 2 months. This is just an idea of what we have worked on and what we will be working on. Okay, so this is the 5th April timeline is what we followed for this month, and we'll be talking about it further in this event. Yeah. So if I talk about the agenda, so the event is broken into 3 parts. That is, we'll be covering the web features first, then the mobile application features, and then lastly we'll be talking about the system improvements. And to proceed on further with the agenda is that we'll start off with the web application features. So the first feature that we'll be talking about is the edit, update, and modification of the virtual hierarchy. So what currently used to happen in our system was that once the virtual hierarchy is created, you were not able to make any changes to it. And if you had to make any amendments, you had to request us to make, to either reset the hierarchy or to add any levels. And there was a lot of, back and forth in terms of any updates if they were required in the virtual hierarchy. So what we've done is we've made life simpler for you. We've given you a tool that you'll be able to mark your virtual hierarchy levels active, inactive. You can also shuffle distributions from one hierarchy level to another. And we'll be further presenting you of what can be done through this feature through a demo. And so Sharik from our team will be presenting with the demo part. So over to you, Sharik.
All right. Thank you, Simon. Am I audible? Yeah. Let me share my screen. All right. So, yeah, talking about virtual hierarchy is a very important part of our system, and the reason we emphasize so much on virtual hierarchy is because it plays a huge role in visibility of distributors and how the promotion works in the system. So what we have, as someone mentioned, that in the existing system we did not have had that feature of changing the status. So the only way around was that our clients had to connect with the backend resources and have it changed from the backend. So what we have introduced now is our status at each virtual hierarchy level to the ability to change the status from active to inactive or inactive to active. So as you can see over here, we have 4 levels for our virtual hierarchy. We have business division, region, area, and territory. For each screen, you can see that in the grid, there is status available for each level. So if I go to region, you can see over here that for regions, you have the status, and similarly for area and territory as well. So yeah, let me give you a demo of how we're basically going to toggle the status. So you just have to go to this edit option, and you can set this to inactive, and it should work. All right, so it's simple as that. And if we come to territory, you can see so one more thing to make the grid more cleaner and for the viewer, what we did was we by default are not showing inactive levels at the moment, but you can toggle them on from this checkbox, and you can see all the inactive and active as well. So a very important part in this feature is that you have to ensure that no distributor is attached at the lowest level of the virtual hierarchy that you're turning to inactive. This is because we have to ensure that the user has distributors visible to him. So if you are not going to remove distributors, then distributors will be invisible from the system for the user. So for that, the first step should be to ensure that all your distributors are moved to another virtual hierarchy, and then you can change the status. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it from how the status is being worked in virtual hierarchy. So back to you, Simon.
Thank you, Sharik. So just to add a little bit for people who are new here and are really not updated of how or what a virtual hierarchy is. Virtual hierarchy is basically you can create dynamic levels according to your let's say according to your geographical location. So if you have regions, you have zones, regions, areas, or if you only have zones and regions and then they're mapped onto distributions, you can set them accordingly, and you can have different, you can create different levels of hierarchies, and then you can map on your distributors to those relevant hierarchies. Yeah, so just to give you a brief overview of what the virtual hierarchy feature is originally. Okay, so moving on to the next feature is that currently what we have is we have our stock damage return module, in which what an order booker does is that he captures the damages from his mobile application, and he syncs them onto the web panel, and the web panel users either approve it or disapprove it depending on the information that is being filled. Okay, so some slight changes that we've done is that we've also added more approval levels and more value-based approval levels in SDR. So now what will happen is that if a certain SDR that you're approving requires 3 levels of verification, then you can set those 3 levels of verifications respectively. Or if a claim is so small, if a damage claim is so small, and you just require a simple level approval for it, you can do that as well. So it's a complete dynamic value based hierarchy for approvals that we've set. So Sharik will be talking about it further, how you can set the levels, how you can how the approval mechanism will work further. Okay. So yeah, over to you, Sharik.
Um, all right, thank you. Let me share my screen again. So yeah, as someone mentioned about the stock return module, what we basically do is order booker or even any retail store can raise a request of stock return due to damage, and it could be due to dented or leaked, and we have other types as well. You can see that we can push a request or raise a request. It can be done from the application by the order booker or by web portal as well. Once the request is raised, it goes into approval. The approval is done from the company's end. It could be TSM, ASM, finance. This is all totally dynamic. So after that, once the approval is given, it goes into settlement. So for now, what we had in the system currently was that only those people could view the request which had the access. And for our new feature, which we have introduced at the moment, we have the ability of creating an approval hierarchy for people who can approve, and then it can move on to the next person who should view it. And apart from that, and another add-on is that at the lowest level, what you can do is you can provide ranges. And if your SDR approval falls under that range, let's say the range is from 0 to 500, and if it falls under 500, the person can approve it. And for the next level, it's 500 to 1000. And if it does not fall in that range, then he does not have to give an approval for it. So yeah, I'll go into that detail as well once I jump into the settings. So yeah, for the demo, let me first show you the approval screen. And so this is basically I've opened up an approval which I made through the application. So something new which is applicable for all users is that we have retailer name and PJP code entered over here as well. Since this is a unplanned PGP, so we don't have a code shown right now. One more thing is that the user, the order booker, has the ability to add comments from the application end. So those comments can be will be visible against the SQ in this grid. So yeah, let me talk about the approval hierarchy feature that someone just mentioned. This is setting based. So you have to go into the setting and you have to enable it, and only then you will have these features or the approval hierarchy maintained. So one thing that comes along with the feature is the negotiated quantity that a user, let's say I am a TSM and I get this request. I look at it and I say that this is not 4, this should be 3. I give it 3, the negotiated quantity and the negotiated value changes, and then I can set it to approve or reject. So after that, it will move on to the next person in the hierarchy. So let me give a little look of the settings. All right. So what we have here is since this by default this will be set to off. You can set it to on. You have to make sure that you settle all your existing SDRs before you turn it to on to continue the integrity of the system. Once you've done that, you can have as you can see, you have multiple options over here. We have you can adjust total levels. It can be 3 or 4. Let's say I go for 4, and what you see over here is that you have 4 levels, and this approval hierarchy levels will be followed throughout. And in the last level, you have the toggle option to set ranges as well. So you can assign people. Let's say I give area sales manager as well. And in the last level, once your SDR has been approved by level 1, level 2, level 3, and it will fall to HOD SDR if it is in the range. Let's say if it's greater than 500, then first HOD SDR will approve it, and after that, area sales manager will approve it. Let's say this is 1,000. Right. So this is the basic structure of how the whole approval hierarchy will work. So, Simon, back to you.
Thank you, Sharik. Okay. Um, yeah. So moving on to the next feature. By the way, just to add, if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the chat window, and we'll be taking questions at the end of our session, and we'll be happy to answer them. Okay. So moving on to our next feature that we worked on is people who have been using our promotions module and have been using discount-based promotions would know that there's also an option of recursive promotions, right? So there are some amendments that we've done. Just to give you a recap of what a recursive promotion is that if you want a certain, let's say, if you have 12 units and you would like to give a discount on every 12 units, then that is the recursion. So the system will check that when will the next 12 units appear in any invoice that is applicable for that discount. Okay, so this was just a slight concept of what recursion is. So we've made some improvements for discount-based recursive promotions, and Astra will be talking about it further and giving you a detailed demo of how you guys can use it. Yeah, so over to you, Astra.
Thank you, Saman. I'll just share my screen. Okay. So here I've just gone and create a new promotion. Everything else is the same as the current functionality. We come to promotion case type with single select, promotion type. We'll go with specific for now. Now in specific type, when you're selecting a specific option, as you can see when you're scrolling, you can select a manufacturer, you can select a business unit management, you can select category brands, and then there's also SKUs. And then this is the new feature that we've added, variant, that is now available on spot selling as well. But let's go with variant for now. So you get to select a specific type of variant. So let's go with the one that's already here. We can go with quantity unit, and let's leave this for now. I'll come back to it. We click on discount. So we have to select an option. So before, if you may recall, there was an option called none, recursive, and after minimum range. So there were only 3 options before. Now you can see 5 on screen. So what fixed recursive means is that so by the default selection is discount based on quantity unit. So let's say that we, after 2 units, that is our base value. After every 2 units, so after every 2 units, we want to give the customer a discount of 10%. So then if they buy 3 units, the discount will be on 2% only. But if they buy 4 units, now the 10% discount will be applicable on all 4 units. And so we'll go with fixed recursive for this demo, but fixed after minimum range is very similar, but it just means that you can enter minimum range that this will only work after, let's say, the customer buys 100 units. So then this process will start being applicable. For now, since we're going with fixed recursive, we can just go with a basic minimum range and maximum range. We click save. Now we can create a secondary order and we can see how this works. So we select the distributor. We click, we select a store. Let's go with store 1. So here, since we're testing out the promotion, we need to add an SKU that is part of that is part of that variant. So I know that in this case, this is this SKU, test SKU BA. Let's add 4 units of this SKU, and then we'll try different combinations and see what it looks like. So we add secondary order. Okay, so it says record has been added successfully. So we can see that we placed an order for 4 units of this SKU. Each unit is for $11.70, and the total item price was $46.80. Now, when we go to allocate stock for this, I'm selecting a distributor. I'm selecting all order bookers. So you can see this is where we, this is what the order that we just placed. No, wait, this is not the order. Select distributor. Yes, so this is the order. So as we can see, we placed an order for test SKU BA and we added 4 units. So we can see that the promotions applied, we can see there's a webinar promotion 1. This is the promotion that we applied. And as we recall, we set our promotion criteria was that on every 2 units sold, we want a 10% discount on the overall value. So right now it's 4, we have 4 units. So that means that there'll be a 10% discount on the overall value. So as we recall, our overall total item price was 46.80, and we're getting a 10% discount on that. So 46.80 minus a 10%, 30 by 6%. Percent sign. I'll just, okay, 46.80 minus so we got a 10% discount. Now let's say we move it to 2 units. Let's change this to 2 units. Not 20. I'm just going to remove the TTS discount because I think it's, or like let's just ignore the TTS discount for now. Okay, so 2 units. So 2 units, we can see that we got a webinar promotion discount of 200. That means that on 2 units, that means 1170 into 2, because each unit is for 1170. $23.40, and then when we minus 10% of that, it's like it's a discount of approximately 200. So that's reflected here. Yes. Okay. So and then when we do, so if we were to do 3 units, so the discount would only be applicable. It's the, you can see the discount is still 200. So because it's applicable on 2 units, because that was our base value. Over to you, Saman.
Thank you, Asra. Okay, so moving on to the next feature that we'll be talking about is payment recovery policy updates. So if you guys have been attending our last 2 webinars, we've been talking about payment recovery policy and the recent updates as well that we've been doing for that feature. So there is another update that we'll be talking about today. It is basically that if you set a payment policy, so I'll just reiterate of what about that feature again. So basically, you can set payment policies for a store. For example, if you have a store that is based on credit, then you can mark it as credit in the system, and then only credit payments will be allowed for that store to be collected, right? And if you think that store can only service through cash, then you can mark it as cash, and only cash can be collected at the time of settlement, right? So these payment policies can be defined in the system. And what we've done is that previously what used to happen is that if you were to remove any store from a certain policy, it wasn't checking if all invoices were closed according to that policy, right? So if you've marked a store as credit, then you were able to change the store policy to cash, and then you could accept cash. But now the system will be checking that if all pending invoices have been closed on credit, and then only the system will be allowed to change that particular store to cash. Okay, so this is a little update that we've done to further improve on our payment recovery policy feature. And Asra will be talking about it further by giving you guys a detailed demo on it. Okay, so over to you, Asra.
Thanks, Saman. So we'll keep this very short. So we can see over in payment collection policies, there's the webinar payment collection policy. And when we go on edit record, we can see the store name that was part of this was thus store one. If we search for it, we can verify. Thus store one is part of this. So as we just made generated an invoice on thus store one, it should, if I try to make this inactive and I click edit payment collection policy, it lets us because we didn't allocate any stock. So let's just go back and confirm the stock allocation and then we'll retry this. I'm just going to stop. I'll just make this add one on thus add a payment collection policy again for thus store one. And we'll reallocate the stock. So invoice has been generated. So that means there is a pending invoice. Now, when I go to the credit module, and I go on edit, so record has been updated successfully. In some cases, it does not get updated when there are pending invoices. So we're shown a prompt. So it looks like this, that the following, it's sharing, is it not? Is it sharing?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
following stores have outstanding balance. These stores will not be removed, or the existing policy must be inactive before the amount is fully recovered. So it's a list of stores that can be downloaded for visibility. But yeah, so we've introduced validations now in edit. Over to you, Saman.
Okay. Thank you, Asra. Yeah, I hope you guys have been following up on these features that we've been talking about. And if you guys have any further questions, or if you guys need any detailed demo, if you think that a certain use case for you guys is not being met, you can consult with your customer success team members as well, and we can identify and help you incorporate those changes. Yeah. So I'll be moving to the second part of our webinar's agenda. That is, we'll be talking about mobile application features, and then we'll be also giving you a demo of how these features will be working. Okay, so just to give you a brief summary of what we've launched in our mobile application, and then Salman will be talking about them further, is that in the last webinar, we talked about the leaderboard that we've implemented for all order bookers. That is, your order booker will be able to see where in a certain distribution his standing is, whether he is a top performing order booker or he's a low performing order booker. And then similarly, his position can be seen in his mobile application, right? So we talked about it in our last webinar, and we've made some changes, and we've given better visibility for order bookers to see what their exact target is, how much they've achieved, and what points they've been scoring. So we'll be talking about that. We've also introduced a new tab that is for any non-productive stores. You'll also be able to see them clearly in a segregated tab now in the mobile application. And we've also introduced some updates in our SDR and replacement module. And you'll also be able to see that if, for example, a user has been marked as inactive, then he'll be getting a prompt to log out, basically, because he can no longer then be able to service any store. So these are some minor and some major updates that we've done in our mobile application. So Salman will be talking about it, and while giving you a detailed demo of how everything works. Okay, so over to you, Salman.
So thank you, Saman. I hope I'm audible. Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll be sharing some of the features we have made live in our latest application release. So the first feature I'll be talking about is the leaderboard criteria visibility. So in our last webinar, we already talked about how leaderboard works and all the KPIs that are associated with the leaderboard. But right now, I'll be talking about on the improvements we did on the top of the leaderboard. So we have added a criteria tab on the leaderboard tab where each order bookers will be able to see all the associated KPIs within the leaderboard. And within each KPIs, order bookers will have clear visibility on the targets and the achievements and the points. So for example, if I tap on strike rate, the order bookers will have a clear visibility on the points calculation and the working that is being behind the points. So our achievement is being divided by the targets and it is being multiplied by the weightage we have set against the leaderboard. So that's how the points are being calculated. So this whole criteria screen will make life easier for the order bookers, and each order bookers would exactly know how their points are being calculated in the leaderboard. So that was about the leaderboard improvements we did. And moving on to our next feature, which is basically segregation of stores based on productivity. So whenever we assign PJP to an order bookers, the complete list of stores will be shown on the all stores tab. And if some store is punching an order, that particular store will be moved on the productive tab. And if a particular store is being marked as non-productive, or if some order booker is not servicing that store, then that particular store will be moved on the non-productive tab. So let me show you a quick demo of it. So let's take an example of assess store. So if I tap on assess store and I punch an order against this particular store, I can do check in and take picture. So as you can see, I've just punched an order against assess store, and this has been moved in the productive tab. So similarly, if I mark a store as unproductive, so let's take an example of a wheel store. So let me mark it as unproductive. So as soon as I mark this particular store as unproductive, this would be moved in the non-productive section on the visit plan screen. So this three separate tabs will give clear visibility to order bookers at the end of the day, as in how many stores they are making productive and how many stores they have marked as non-productive. So moving on to my last feature, which is the improvement of the SDR process. So let me go to damage and return screen and add one particular damage request. So here you can see we have added a comment box. So order bookers, if any order bookers wants to add some comments, then he can add that comments on the comment box, and that comment would be visible on the web panel. So that would basically be additional feature we have added. So it can give more description on the damage and return. We have also given the option of to delete an SDR. So we figured out that order bookers were unable to delete an SDR if they have added by mistake. So we have given this delete option. So if an order booker taps on delete option, he will get this prompt that if they want to delete this SDR claim or not. So once they tap on yes, then that particular SDR would be deleted. So the same option is being given on fresh stock and the replacement process as well. So that was all about the application updates. So if you have any questions, then you may ask at the end of the presentation, or you may leave your questions in the chat box. So over to you, Saman.
Thank you, Saman. Okay. Yeah, so moving on to the next part of our session. That is the system improvements that we've done. And these are some minor system improvements that we'll be simply talking about. Okay. So app users who have been made inactive will be forced to log out. This is an improvement that we've done at the application end. I talked about it earlier as well, that if any app user has been marked inactive from the web panel, they will be getting a disclaimer message to log out, and they will not be able to perform any visits further. Okay. Then we've added the retailer name and comments field that Salman also talked about and Sharik also showed on the web panel. Those were some minor SDR improvements. The third thing that we've done, which was something most of our customers also requested, was that variant-based promotions on spot sellers, which was currently only implemented on order bookers. So if I give you an example of what a variant is, let's say you have a biscuit as an SKU, and a variant can be its flavor. So let's say chocolate biscuits is an SKU and chocolate is the variant. Then you can apply promotions on that chocolate variant SKUs, and now these promotions will also be applicable on spot seller invoices that are done in field, right? So currently this feature was only available for our order bookers only. That is the pre-sales component, but now they are also available on spot sellers. So customers who are using our spot sell module will benefit from this particular feature. And we can further discuss any particular promotion cases if you guys have with your relevant CS member, and they can guide you further on these. So yeah, these were some minor system improvements that we've worked upon. And then so lastly, what we'll be doing is that we'll be this is basically a rough plan of what our 5th May pipeline looks like, what our 5th June pipeline looks like, and what our 5th July pipeline looks like. So the June and July pipeline is tentative, and the 5th May is just to give you a slight idea of what you guys can expect from our future releases. And what the team is currently working on. So this is just to give you some visibility of what our innovation pipeline looks like, right? And then, yeah, so we'll be ending our session with by taking in any questions. We deliberately tried to keep the session short because we knew that everyone, most of us over here, are fasting, and attending a very long session would be tiring. So we arranged it earlier as well and tried to keep it short. I hope we were able to generate value through these features that we've talked about. If you feel that there are certain use cases that we have been missing, you can talk to us directly. You can ask your questions in the chat window, and we can answer them here as well. So Yes, questions, anyone? Okay, so there was a comment regarding a one pager, a one slider after the call. So what we basically do is that we share a pre-read for the webinar. That is, all the features that we will be talking about are sent in a one pager document, and we briefly tell about what you can expect in the webinar. So if you guys haven't received that document, you can let us know, and we have been updating our email mailing list as well, so we can update it further, so that you guys, if anyone who has not received it, can receive it. And then at the end of the session as well, we share these slides as well, and the presentation video as well. And we also share a short survey, so that you guys can help us improve as well on how we can make this platform better. So any questions by anyone? Is everything clear? Okay. Okay, sure. We'll add you to our mailing list. If you can, after this session, whoever your relevant CS person is, we will be taking your email addresses from them, and then we'll add you. Sure, we can do that.
All right, Salman.
Thank you. Okay. So if there are no questions, it means we gave a very great demo, and everyone was very clear on what we've launched this month. Anyways, if you guys still have any questions, you can email us. You can get in touch with us in the next webinar as well. So yeah, this is something we do monthly. So we look forward to seeing you in the next webinar as well. So thank you everyone for taking out the time and joining this session. So we'll end it here. Okay. Thank you everyone.